What's up guys, I'm Suman from Phonestein and today we are going to be reviewing the Asus Zenfone Lite L1. And this review is not going to be the usual style where I have both A-roll and B-roll, but this is the classic review style. Hope you guys like this style of reviews, and if you do like, make sure you hit a thumbs up, and without wasting any precious time, let us begin. Now the Asus Zenfone Lite is a budget phone and it is priced at around 6,000 rupees. Now the direct competitor for this is the Redmi 6A, which is also priced at 6,000 Indian rupees. Now in terms of specifications, both are similar except for the processor. On the Zenfone, we have a Snapdragon 430 octa-core which is clocked at 1.4 GHz, whereas on the Redmi 6A we have a Helios chipset which is clocked at 2 GHz. Now yes, the clock speed is going to be a slight advantage for the Redmi 6A, but will the user experience of the Zenfone Lite be enough to overtake the likes of Xiaomi? Let's find out. Now let me start this review with the display. So here we have 18:9 display, and this is not Full HD but rather 720. The display provided here is decent, but if you are someone who's buying a smartphone for the very first time, I think you would really appreciate the display on the Zenfone Lite L1. Now the overall usability, or rather say one-handed use on this phone, is actually pretty good. Of course this is not completely one-hand usable, but due to the 18:9 aspect ratio, they have been able to shrink the bezels both on the top and the bottom, which makes it really good for one-handed use. Yes, there are certain tasks like reaching the corners which requires two hands, but mostly if you want to type some mail or something like that, you can definitely use one hand to type. And even the build quality on the Zenfone Lite L1 is good. Now this here is plastic, but it is really solid. Now I've tried bend test, so let me just show you. So as you can see here, the phone is really rigid. I'm trying my best. So as you can see, even though it is plastic, Asus have managed to make this a really solid phone, and kudos to Asus for that. Now initial impressions in terms of your build, your display, I think I can give this say a 7 out of 10 or 7.5 out of 10, considering that this here is a budget phone and has like really decent looks, build and a display. Now before moving on to all the minor parts like how the speaker is and all those kind of stuff, let me talk about the main things, and first we'll concentrate on the performance. Now this sucker here comes with a Snapdragon 430 processor. This is an octa-core chip, but the clock speed is less. So this bad boy here is clocked at 1.4 GHz. Day-to-day performance is like really smooth. And now the Asus Zenfone Lite comes with the Zen UI, and I am particularly not a fan of this because it has a lot of junk. So if you are planning to buy this phone and want a really good experience, make sure you put the Google Now launcher, and that will make the experience even more better. And now for those who asked the benchmarks, on Antutu benchmark we got a score of 55,628. Yes, this is not high, but considering that this here is a phone for rupees 6,000, I think this score is impressive. Few years back, if you had bought a smartphone for 6,000 rupees, I'm sure this would have not even come near this mark, and I think it is incredible how far we've come here in terms of like features, power and etc. Now on the Zenfone Lite we have 2 gigs of RAM, and yes, that might be kind of a downfall, but considering the price of this smartphone, I think it is like decent. If you have few apps open, I think this can definitely handle those with ease, and I think that is pretty good. So please do not expect like many apps to be open in the background and you having a really good smooth experience. Most people who buy this phone like are going to be really hardcore users, so I think this phone can handle their needs like really well. Now most people who own a smartphone like really like to play games, and now today we are going to be testing this with the brand new Asphalt 9. And you may ask, why no PUBG? The only reason was that when I tried playing that game, even on the low settings, it stuttered a lot. So if you're planning to play PUBG on this, then make sure you are ready for a lot of stutters. Now as you can see here, I have the visual quality at default. Now if I bump this too high, then you will definitely experience a lot of stutter.
Now as you saw here, on default settings the game worked really fine, and even when you bump the setting up to the highest quality, the game actually plays. You can play the game, but when high graphically like detailed subjects pop on the screen, then you will experience stutter, and when you're playing a game you definitely don't want that. But if you are a casual gamer, or even if you want to play high-end games like this, make sure you bump down the settings and you are pretty much good to go. And one advantage of this smartphone is that even when I like play games for 30 minutes or say 1 hour, the temperature doesn't go up. In fact, the entire phone is actually pretty cool except for the top part, like only this area where it gets a little warm. It's not too hot, a little warm, but the phone is actually cool. Now if you take a look at this, the CPU temperature is like around 44 degrees and the battery temperature is around 39 degrees, and this is what I meant. The phone is actually cool even after playing a game for like a very long time. So I just want to congratulate Asus on making this phone really cool even after like playing games for a very long time, and I'm sure they have not done anything like really great like what they did on the ROG phone in terms of cooling, but still this phone manages to have a really like cool gaming experience. Now talking about the battery life on this phone, I should say that it has really good battery life. Yes, this here is a 3000 mAh battery, but due to the lower pixel count and lower processing power, I think the battery doesn't get hit like very much. And if you are like a light user, you can definitely use this phone for like 24 hours or even more than that. If you are someone who actually plays a lot of games and stuff like that, then this phone will definitely get you through the day, and you will only need to charge this in the night. And again, like in terms of battery life, this phone is good. Now talking about the camera, at the back we have a single camera, which is a 13 megapixel camera with an f2.0 aperture. As you can see here, you have all these options for turning off your flash, you have timer, like as you can see portrait mode, you even have portrait mode, but it is of course not going to work well. So when you go into settings, you can see that when you go to video quality, you can take videos at 1080p, which is like decent. You even have beautify, which I highly recommend you to turn off. Now as you can see here in terms of the image, so I'll just put this on screen and you'll get to know. It is not the best, or I won't even say decent, it is okay. Like maybe if you want to post it somewhere like as a story, again as I told, on Instagram as a story or Snapchat as a story, I think they should pretty much do the job, and for that price I think this is a really good deal. Now the front facing camera is a 5 megapixel camera, and as you can see here, you even have front flash. So you have a dedicated flash for taking photos, and during night time I think that will be really helpful. And then similarly as the back camera, you have all the features, but since this here is a 5 megapixel camera, the quality is going to be less, and the aperture size here is f2.4. So now in terms of camera, I think this smartphone like is decent. Now if you're not into mobile photography a lot and all you want to do is just post random updates or stories on Instagram or WhatsApp or whatever, then this should definitely get the job done. Now we have covered most of like the things on the Asus Zenfone Lite, and I think till now this has like probably amazed me considering the price that you're paying. Now there are certain things that I've noticed. Now the speaker on this is like located at the bottom, and that is not pretty loud. Yes, you do have something called outdoor mode, but that doesn't do anything at all. Yes, I tried it, but it doesn't do anything, and that is kind of a disappointment. So there's one more feature on the Zenfone Lite, and that is face recognition. Yes, so you can use your face to unlock this phone, and it is definitely not quick as your OnePlus or other devices, but having this on a phone, if you are buying this as your first device, you can definitely show off. And I think Asus including this was like really wicked. So here we have it, the Zenfone Lite L1. Now this bad boy here is priced at 6,000 Indian rupees and is a direct competitor to the Redmi 6A. But is it better than the Redmi 6A? I really can't tell that because I haven't used the Redmi 6A, but in my personal use, like in the time I've used this smartphone, I think it is pretty good. My only concern is that I hope that the Zen UI installed on this doesn't slow down the phone like over time. The simple answer to that is install Google Now Launcher and you are good to go. So Redmi 6A now has a potential competitor, and if I'm able to get my hands on the Redmi 6A, I'll try to do a comparison between both, and let's see how both are. But until that time, I think this phone here is a really good deal for 6,000 rupees. So hope you guys like this style of review, like where I just sit on a table and review this and talk only about the stuff that is needed. And of course this is the classic style of reviewing. And if you like this video, make sure you hit a thumbs up, and this is Suman signing off once again. Catch you later.